Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And just like that, we're off. We're running another brand new live edition of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you on a Wednesday morning. Welcome into the show. 7 o'clock, top of the hour. We're with you until 9. As always, 256-576-4977. That's the number of the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. You can join the program this morning for the next 2 hours as we get you through, get you caught up on a lot of good stuff, get you ready again for that national championship game on Monday. We'll talk some basketball along the way, plus get to your thoughts and your conversation as well. Last night, Alabama does get a win over Ole Miss, 84-62. Third straight win for the Tide. Home opener for the SEC goes their way as well, 12-2 and 2-0 in SEC play. 5 players double figures. Brandon Miller, 17. Sears, 16. Alabama's bench, a spark in the first half. 20 minutes, opening 20 minutes, 7 points. Within the first 10 minutes after starting out the night. 3 for 10 from the field. The Tide quickly got hot, shooting 70% for the remainder of the half. So Alabama good last night in their win. Those are the wins that you got to win because those are the teams that you got to beat. Teams that are below you. Nate Oates sure agrees.
Competing for an SEC championship, you got to take care of your home games. We got the one tonight. We've been making a big point of emphasis on the turnovers. Turnovers were down. Thought we were much better that way tonight. I thought our defense was decent. We were obviously aided by them not shooting the three very well tonight, but I was a little disappointed with our effort once we kind of built the lead up there in the middle of the second half. I think we got to do a better job closing games, playing hard. Whether you've got a lead or it's tight or whatever. So I think even Mississippi State, I didn't think we closed that game great either.
That's Alabama head coach Nate Oates. If you want to hear the entire thing, head over to our YouTube page, WCZN TV. You can watch the entire press conference there, as well as player reaction on our YouTube page, WCZN TV.
Yeah, I thought Alabama played well. They did get out-rebounded 48-39 by Ole Miss, but they held Ole Miss to 2 of 24 from the three-point line. They had a balanced offense. It was led by Brandon Miller, who had 17 and a couple of spectacular plays, including a Sports Center-like 40-foot three with 2 seconds left on the shot clock. Mark Sears of Muscle Shoals had 16 of his own. Jaden Bradley, who I like more and more the more I see him, and even when Namari Burnett comes back from injury, I don't know how you take Jaden out of the lineup because it goes back to a point Nate Oates made. They didn't turn the ball over nearly as much last night, and Bradley does not turn it over very much. He's an old-school point guard. He draws contact. He finishes at the rim. He makes free throws, which is huge for Alabama. He did a great job of that last night. And, when at one time, I think, he ended up 10 of 12 from the line. So he only took 8 shots, was 2 for 8 from the field, but he was able to manufacture points, as I like to call it. Got a couple of and ones as well. And I thought he ran the team really well. And, I thought Alabama's depth showed up. They've started to get Dom Welch. Last couple games, his first 2 at Alabama, the transfer from St. Bonaventure, started to become part of the rotation. Hasn't scored yet, but I still think he's getting comfortable. He's a good three-point shooter. And I think when you look at it, Alabama's Nick Pringle gave him some good minutes last night to go along with Noah Clowney, to go along with Charles Bediako. So they have some depth in the post. This is not a team that is your traditional offense. They're not going to go inside a ton. But they run a lot of pick and rolls. They do a lot of 4-out. And I thought they did a really nice job of taking care of the home court last night. As we said, 84-62. And somebody asked me for my prediction in the other game. I know you had it on Zone Center. You talked about it a little bit. I picked Kentucky 75-70 at home against LSU. It ended up being a 74-71 game. Kentucky got off the schneid. I expected that. I thought they would protect their home floor at Rupp, and they needed to after the debacle in Missouri, losing 84-70. So
they hung on though. They had a 10-point lead late. They almost
it was 60 to 50. Yeah,
let that one slip away at home.
They did. They cut it to. I think LSU went on an 8-0 run and cut it to 60 to 58. But they were able to tough it out. Jacob Toppin really did a nice job and led the way there, iced it at the free throw line. And so it sets up a big game at noon. It'll be an early one on ESPN. Alabama will be hosting Kentucky. They had a pretty good crowd last night considering the weather and considering the students aren't back quite yet. They will be back now, though, and I'm expecting a sellout for that noon tip-off against Kentucky, so it should be a great crowd. Always is. I'm sure they'll have some folks from the Big Blue Nation traveling as well. And
it's weird to have that one, though, have Alabama be ranked inside the top 10 and Kentucky coming in unranked.
Yeah, it is a little weird, but it's still going to be Kentucky, and certainly they're still going to get Kentucky's best shot. Kentucky's very talented, and so Alabama's got to be ready. This was kind of a trap game people were looking toward, and Nate Oates kind of referenced it at one point in time in the second half. Scott, Alabama led by 21 at halftime, 44-23. They stretched it to as much as 27 points with around 10, 11 minutes left in the game, but they kind of took their foot off the gas, and Ole Miss got to within 15 and even had the ball and had a chance to make it a little dicey, the last few minutes of the game. But Alabama quickly turned it back up, got it back to 21, and Miller's three was a big part of that, the one from about 40 feet. So, but Alabama made some plays and got and pulled away again. And Kermit's team is a work in progress. They had a rough opening week. Because they had to play Tennessee at home, and then they had to play Alabama on the road. So that is arguably right now anyway, because, again, it has to play itself out. But that could be your two best teams in the SEC. And so Ole Miss had to open with those two teams. And then you looked at Mississippi State did too. Mississippi State loses at home to Alabama. And then they go on the road to Knoxville and just get absolutely pummeled last night by 30 plus. So, but I think Alabama and Tennessee, arguably right now, are playing the best basketball in the Southeastern Conference, and we'll talk about that at the top of the second hour with Blake Lovell.
So yesterday, staying with college basketball, just staying on that theme,
right?
The NCAA Transformation Committee, they're meeting in Indianapolis. I'm pretty sure that's where they're meeting right now. And they did give their recommendation that all tournament sports have the ability to incorporate 25% of the teams that are eligible. So that means the NCAA tournament, the NCAA basketball tournament, would have the right to expand to 90 teams if they wanted to. But here's the thing. Here's the caveat to all of that. The individual sport oversight committee has the final approval, and they're not wanting to expand the NCAA basketball tournament right now. All this did is just pave the way for the ability to expand the NCAA tournament to 90 if they want to. But there is no movement. There is nothing for it to expand to 90 teams.
Well, I mean, it's already gone from back in the day it was 32, then it went to 48, then it went to 64 for many, many years, and now it's at 68. And I think the first four is a neat thing, but this 90, this is getting crazy here. This is, I mean, you're going to have, nearly, I guess there's 300 and some odd that played Division I, so you'd have about a third of them making the tournament.
That's basically what it is. They want to do 25%.
Well, I'll just say this: if you start missing that, you're fired. If you're in a Power 5 school, if you ain't in the top 90, get your ass out of here. I'm sorry. That's pretty pathetic. Yeah. I mean, but I'm really not in favor of it. I think the 68's just fine.
Right. It's got a long ways. It is not. Not like they're putting this on the table for tomorrow to go 90 teams. What the NCAA committee did yesterday was just say, okay, look, any sport that has a tournament.
Yeah.
you can go up to 25% of the eligible teams to make said tournament, including basketball. But the oversight committee of each sport has the final say. All right, Jeff from the Borough with us this morning. Good morning, Jeff.
Morning, Jeff. Happy New Year.
Well, guys.
How you doing?
Yeah, that's all we need to do is let everybody in that the season don't mean anything. That's all we need to lose. Let 360 teams in. That's real fun. Then nobody will definitely watch. Nobody will watch ever. They'll never watch. So that'll be great for college basketball. It used to be 8 and 16 back today, and it went to 32 and 48, what have you. So 64 is plenty for me. I don't even prove the 68 mess. I mean, first four I can do without that.
It used to be the NIT. The NIT was the NCAA tournament before the NCAA tournament. So then it became the NCAA.
Well, the NIT was 32, but the NIT but the NIT's the oldest tournament if you want to go by years. I mean,
it
older than the NCAA tournament. And I mean, like back in the day, I mean, Kentucky won it in '76, and like Given said, when they won it, it still meant something to win it. So I mean, when they won it, and then '75 was the Final Four, lost to UCLA, was the final game, and that's but that's that's why the bridge there. But I mean, 68. That's whatever they want to do. I mean, every other sport, baseball's got 64, tennis has 64, volleyball has 64. I mean, well, they're not going to expand them, so I don't think there's any expansion as far as that goes. But I did see some of the games last night. I saw Kentucky's box score. You can't give up 49% shooting to expect to win the ball game. I mean, give me a break. They shot 49% from the field. And I don't know, they didn't call me fouls last night. Must let them play, I guess. But they called 25 fouls between the teams. I think Kentucky had 15, LSU had 10, something like that. Is that what it was?
Well, I mean, I watched the last few minutes of it just to make sure that Kentucky was going to polish it off.
11 for Kentucky, 15 for
I think
LSU.
LSU's actually pretty good, though, even though they had to totally revamp their roster when Western Union finally got fired.
Well, I mean, that's true. But I mean, think about it. They didn't have many turnovers either. I think Kentucky had 6 or 7 turnovers.
Yeah.
If they can do that Saturday, that's definitely going to help them. But Toppin's playing better. Of course, you know what 34 is going to give you. And like you said last night, it was physical in there. So he better get ready for another physical banging, beating Saturday. Because it's going to be a beating. Coleman Coliseum, he'll get beat all to pieces. And I mean, and sell out. That's nothing to do for Kentucky. Every time we go on the road to sell out. I mean, Missouri. And they played Missouri. I watched some of it. Missouri hit everything it threw up. Everything it threw up went in. It was their night, and they beat us. Is Missouri that good? No. They're probably overrated. They ain't played. The only team they lost to was Kansas. Rest of them, they ain't played nobody. Well, they 12-1, 12-2. I mean, they tell you something. When Alabama played Mississippi State 18 of 36 from the free throw line, clankety clank. Come on. If Mississippi State takes free throws, they beat Alabama.
Jeff, thanks. I mean, we got to get moving on. Thanks, Jeff. I mean, we'll break that down. Let's get our first break in. When we come back, we'll talk more basketball as well as some football. Got to get that break in, though. More Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Good morning. Not much to it this morning. We had one accident, 72 in Nance. They pulled it off in a parking lot. It was a no injury. And we're seeing more school buses this morning, so definitely watch out for them as you make your way in. Dr. Sandman has the Somnodent, a safe, insurance-approved alternative for snoring and sleep apnea. Dr. Randall Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-306-8158 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-306-8158. That's 800-306-8158. What do you have to lose? Call 800-306-8158. Again, 800-306-8158.
The all-new Huntsville Boat Show kicks off on Thursday, January 12th and runs through Sunday the 15th. This is your chance to shop, compare, and save thousands on the purchase of a new boat with too many brands and models to mention here. So you're just going to have to come on down and check it all out at the Huntsville Boat Show at the Von Braun Center, January 12th through the 15th. The region's premier dealers and retailers will be there with the latest in watercraft. Go to HuntsvilleBoatShow.com to learn more and get tickets. That's HuntsvilleBoatShow.com. We'll see you there.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
The all-new Huntsville Boat Show kicks off on Thursday, January 12th and runs through Sunday the 15th, and I'll be broadcasting the Tom Abraham Show on location Thursday and Friday the 12th and 13th. This is your chance to shop, compare, and save thousands on the purchase of a new boat with too many brands and models to mention here. So you're just going to have to come on down and check it all out at the Huntsville Boat Show at the Von Braun Center, January 12th through the 15th. And come by my set and see me Thursday and Friday at the show. Go to HuntsvilleBoatShow.com for more.
It's the time of year again when football is in the air, and that means cool, crisp fall temperatures are just right around the corner. It also means that your home's heating system needs to be checked out before you wake up one morning with no heat. So give Environmental Comfort Systems a call or visit our website at envcomfort.com. We are your independently owned American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. Alabama license number 92314. Environmental Comfort Systems. That's envcomfort.com.
Hi, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. 7:17 on this Wednesday morning. Jeff was alluding to the fact that Missouri hasn't played anybody, so he just went back and looked at the schedule. They have a big one tonight. They have 13th ranked Arkansas in Fayetteville.
On the road.
Does Missouri, but tonight does mark their third straight. Now, Kentucky was ranked when they faced them. Tonight's game for Missouri, and the reason why we pay attention to Missouri is because former Lehigh standout Kobe Brown has been unstoppable lately.
And they have his brother Caleb as well.
3 straight ranked opponents for Missouri. This is their third straight ranked opponent. They beat 16th ranked Illinois 93-71. That was the bragging rights game. And then they beat Kentucky, who was ranked 19th at the time. And now they have 13th ranked Vanderbilt. They've beaten a solid UCF team who...
No, you mean 13th ranked Arkansas, right?
Yeah, they have 13th ranked Arkansas
It's
tonight.
Vandy's... Vandy did win
Vandy,
last night.
Yeah, right. I don't know why
in
I said
overtime.
Vandy, but they
won their
Arkansas
SEC
tonight.
opener. Yeah.
So Illinois, Kentucky, and Arkansas are the 3 straight ranked opponents that Missouri has faced. They've beaten 2. The only ranked one that they've lost was a 95-67 loss to Kansas.
And a lot of people doubted them because their out-of-conference schedule was weak. And when they played Kansas in that crossover game, it was by far their sternest test, and they got smoked. But Kansas could be the best team in the country. So... and then when they bounced back and they beat Illinois as badly as they did and then beat Kentucky, that raised a lot of eyebrows, and that's why when you look at their record, they have 1 loss on the year, and they went from unranked to 20th in the country because of Illinois and Kentucky.
Yeah, you beat 2 ranked opponents in a row.
And you knock Kentucky out of the AP poll. So now they can get right back in it since they beat LSU and if they were to upset Alabama on Saturday. And as of right now, that would be an upset. I think Alabama should be favored in the game. I think Alabama's coming in playing well. But if Alabama doesn't take care of the ball, if they shoot poorly, Shibwe, and Jeff just said it, you know what you're going to get out of him. I think he had 19 and 12 last night, and you got 21 out of Toppin, who's a veteran. Hell, he's been there, it seems like 17 years now after coming out of the portal. But he's a really good player. No doubt about it. They got him from Dayton, and he's pardon me for that. Actually, that was his brother who played for Anthony Grant. Obi. But again, Toppin's been really good since they got him out of the portal. And been a good fit there. Shibwe, they got him from West Virginia. Wallace is a really good freshman. Who's a really good player, had 14 last night. Kentucky's still Kentucky. They're still very talented. Jeff's right. It's going to be a sellout no matter where they go. Because people, even if they are right now unranked, people still want to beat Kentucky because it doesn't happen very often. And so, again, I thought it was a big win for them last night. I think LSU's kind of been sneaking around and a dangerous squad, and I think that it was a good win for them to hang on. And, again, when you look at it and you look at the way that they played and when you look at Shibwe, he was able to stay on the floor. I mean, dude didn't even come off the floor.
Right.
I mean, he played 40 minutes last night, and he'll probably have to do the same if they're going to beat Alabama, no question about it.
All right, so there's your college basketball talk, 256-576-4977. That's the number for you to get in on the program this morning. A little less than a week, we will get the college football national championship game. Georgia and TCU battling it out in SoFi Stadium in L.A., where remember the last time we had a national championship game in California? That was Alabama and Clemson. That was up there at Levi Stadium at the time, home of the 49ers, and they were basically trying to give away tickets because the attendance was not so great. I'm curious to see how many people flock out to L.A. for this one.
I'll be surprised if it's not a sellout, just simply because TCU was picked 7th in their league. They weren't even supposed to be here. They upset, as we know, Michigan.
Right.
So I think their fans will travel. This is an unbelievable opportunity. Certainly the Dog fans are going to travel. I know Bob, the Georgia Dog, called in yesterday. I don't know that he'll be flying out to California. That's a long trip. It's expensive, but I do think the Dog Nation will go out there, though. They got a chance to do something that's not been done in the college football playoff era, and that's repeat. Now, Alabama did it in 11 and 12 in the BCS era. It's not been done in this one, so certainly some history with a chance to be made. I don't, and it's from all I've never been out to the West Coast in LA. Don't really care because it's everybody knows what I think of California. But I've heard that the stadium is beautiful. I'm sure it is. SoFi Stadium. It's brand new. It's state of the art. The Super Bowl was there last year. Rams win it. So it's probably going to be a great place to watch a game for sure.
All right, so if Kirby Smart is able to win the national championship, he does join. Now, this is just in the 21st century, going all the way back to 2000. No more before that. Not going back past that. He would join this company of Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, Dabo Swinney, and Pete Carroll as coaches to win multiple national championships, back-to-back years, back-to-back seasons, or multiple national titles, however you want to look at it. That's some pretty elite company in there. Urban Meyer, Dabo Swinney, Pete Carroll, and Nick Saban.
Yeah, anytime you're in that kind of company, he's certainly going to take a leap into that kind of elite, coaching fraternity. No question about it. If they're able to repeat, even if they're not, just simply because they made the championship game, they're going to be considered, or he is going to be considered an elite coach now. No question about that. Because, again, this is the third national championship game he's coached in. So you have to start giving him that kind of credit. This is not Ed Ogeron. This is not Larry Coker, even though Larry did actually coach in 2 of them. But again, I just think it's not the kind of one-hit wonder or Gene Chizik. This is something, a program that's been sustained and really since his opening season in 2016, his second year they made the national championship game. They have been contenders. Now, they didn't make the playoff every year, but certainly they've been in the conversation.
Right.
And they're dominating the Eastern Division in the SEC right now. And he's won his second SEC title, and he's trying to win his second national championship.
If he wins this, does he move ahead of Dabo Swinney as...
He already has. The Clemson program right now, if you've been paying attention, I think some people have. If you watched them against Tennessee, if that looked like a college football playoff team to you, then you must be on some wild turkey, like Alabama's defensive coordinator.
Wolverine Dan with us real fast. Good morning, sir.
Well, I know which one team's not going to be in the national championship game. It's mine.
Well, do you think he's going to the NFL, Dan, or do you think he'll stay this time? You know, he did this last year.
He did this last year. He does this just because he gets free air miles and he gets his dinners and wine and dine.
Yeah, I heard he spoke to the Carolina Panthers owner.
Listen, I know the boosters really well.
Right.
And one really close booster, and he says there's no way it ain't going to happen. So.
Well, I mean, I hope he stays, honestly. I really do.
Well, okay, so let's talk about the game. First off.
Right.
I have nothing to be embarrassed about. Period.
No, it wasn't embarrassing.
I think both games were very competitive. I think they have the right teams. All right, and I think TCU is a legitimate college football program, football-wise. They played extremely well defensively, especially in the backfield. Now, we lost the game by 6 points. But let me put it to you this way. A loss is a loss. And, I tried to call yesterday. I guess your phones were out of whack with the weather.
Well, we ended up taking we took a lightning hit, too. So it wasn't everything. Yeah.
Right. That wasn't good. Anytime you get a lightning hit. But, but I will say this, 5 turnovers. It's hard to win any game with 5 turnovers.
Oh, no doubt.
2 of those for 7 points, 14 points right there.
Right.
That's not easy to overcome. But we made it competitive enough to where people thought, or you might have thought, maybe we could come back and win this game. So did they play their best game? No. Did they play a really good game? Yeah, of course they did. I mean, to come back to be that close after 5 turnovers, I mean, come on.
I thought it was resilient.
I think the touchdown that was called back, that ball crossed the line.
Oh, I thought it was a touchdown when I saw it, Dan. But I will just say this, and my only criticism of Harbaugh in this situation, because again, the pick sixes are the pick sixes. There was poor decisions and good play by TCU, but I just don't believe they should have tried to hand the ball off. I think they should have just snuck it in and scored.
Thank you. I feel the same way. The other question I had, you guys probably had the same question. Of course, I'm screaming to the. We watched it at the movie theater, the Monaco, or it used to be Monaco, over at Bridge Street.
Yeah.
So it was a great deal. It was a $10 ticket, and then they give you $10 in concessions. So,
cool.
That's called free. Anyway, I was pretty happy with that. But my question to you two, at the end of the game, he let a lot of time run off, and he had 3 timeouts.
Oh, his own father looked like he was like, "What are you doing, Jim?"
Yeah, Wolverine. Thanks for that phone call. Let us answer that question. We got to get.
All right.
Let us get to a break, though. We got to get to a break, and then after we talk Alabama Ole Miss basketball with Jake Wimberly, we will get to that question. Let's get a break in real fast. Talk some hoops coming up next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. We should actually get to enjoy a little bit of sunshine this afternoon, despite being on the backside of a cold front. Temperatures should actually be able to climb into the low and mid-60s. It'll be a chilly night, though, as we head into the overnight. Early into your Thursday morning, temperatures dropping into the upper 30s and lower 40s. Plenty of sunshine on Thursday afternoon. Temperatures a little cooler, but still above average. Highs climbing into the mid and upper 50s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Still working with a clean slate this morning. No wrecks, no stalls, no traffic signal problem. We do have buses out on their routes, so watch out for them as you make your trip in this morning. Snelling needs production schedulers for Northeast Huntsville, 9 to 6, Monday through Friday. Snelling Area's best companies hire talent. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
The all-new Huntsville Boat Show kicks off on Thursday, January 12th and runs through Sunday the 15th. This is your chance to shop, compare, and save thousands on the purchase of a new boat with too many brands and models to mention here. So you're just going to have to come on down and check it all out at the Huntsville Boat Show at the Vaughn Brown Center, January 12th through the 15th. The region's premier dealers and retailers will be there with the latest in watercraft. Go to HuntsvilleBoatShow.com to learn more and get tickets. That's HuntsvilleBoatShow.com. We'll see you there.
The Huntsville Sports Commission is responsible for bringing high-level sports entertainment to the Rocket City. In 2023, enjoy events like the CCSA Beach Volleyball Championships, Hometown Lenders Championship, UCI Paracycling Road World Cup, and so much more. To learn more about upcoming events and the Huntsville Sports Commission, visit HuntsvilleSports.com. The Huntsville Sports Commission. We do sports.
Tom Abraham here for my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Welcome back, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond, and Alabama basketball victorious last night against Ole Miss, 84-62. Mississippi State falls to Tennessee last night, 87-53. So a tough night, both for the Rebels and the Bulldogs on the hardwood.
Yeah, and then we want to wrap up football as well, because it's been a very emotional time in Starkville with the loss of a unique character that will never be duplicated in our game. And I wanted to bring in Jake Wimberly from 105.9 in Jackson, Mississippi. ESPN 105.9 does a great job with the afternoon drive from 3 to 6, and we wanted to kind of put some perspective on what the folks have been going through in Starkville. It was a very emotional time for them. Scott and I we went over their bowl results from this past weekend. They got a very emotional win over Illinois, 19-10, as they were able to play a really solid game defensively as they have now made the transition to the Zach Arnett era, which is still kind of hard to fathom with what we've gone through. And especially it kind of puts, with what we've seen go on in the NFL with the tragedy that happened. And hopefully it'll have a much better ending with what happened with Buffalo and Cincinnati. But we were going to bring Jake Wimberly in for a few minutes. Jake, Happy New Year. Welcome back to the show.
Guys, Happy New Year. Appreciate you having me in. How's it going?
Good. Doing well. And where are we right now with Mississippi State football? I mean, it's so we talked about this, and except unless it's Bo Ryan with the LSU back in the late 70s, early 80s, who never coached a game due to a plane crash. That's the closest we can equate it to, but really it's not like that. This has been something that's kind of unprecedented what Mississippi State's going through right now.
There's no doubt about it. And, you asked the question, where are they right now? Where's the program right now? It's a great question. You do get the win against Illinois, as you referenced, a very emotional win for Mississippi State. If you saw Will Rogers' post-game interview there on the field, you could just see the emotion coming out of that young man and what that meant for him and for his teammates. But when you look now, you got to turn the page forward. Let's look at the positives here. One, Mississippi State won 9 football games this year. Credit Mike Leach with 8 of those, Zach Arnett with 1 of those. So you move the ball forward now. You give Zach Arnett the reins to the program with a team that's really kind of teed up for him. And what does that mean in 2023? We'll see. But a schedule that lends itself that's a little easier than it was this past year. They'll play 8 home games for the first time in the history of the program. He returns a defensive unit that's going to have a lot of talent on that defensive side, and some offensive skill players that are still there that they can definitely work with, especially with Will Rogers. The big question now, of course, the big rumors in the state is the offensive coordinator position. Will it be Kendall Briles, who that's the hot name right now coming out of Arkansas? Now, not saying that's going to happen. I just know that's the hot name right there on the board. But he's got to find an offensive coordinator. They're paying Zach Arnett $3 million. There's a year. There's some money there to go put towards an offensive coordinator. And, I think if even the Briles rumors are remotely close to even being true, even if he's not the guy, I look at that, and I said this yesterday, Mississippi State is likely going to somewhat pivot off the traditional air raid and maybe go to some sort of a modified version. I've said this before. Look somewhere like what Tennessee is doing with Josh Heupel, maybe what Lincoln Riley is doing, out at USC. A modified version of this offense. It's going to be an interesting story and a fun story to watch moving forward, what Zach Arnett does with this team.
Yeah, and he's already kind of putting his imprint on it, and he's in a tough spot because
just doesn't need to copy out Lincoln Riley.
He's following Mike Leach, and it's like, do you keep all of Mike Leach's assistants there? I mean, what do you do? Do you kind of start your own journey? And he is kind of starting his own journey. I mean, Steve Spurrier Jr. is not on the staff. There were a couple coaches yesterday that Zach Arnett let go.
Yeah, they've already brought in back Brad Peterson, who was on Dan Mullen's staff. Brad Peterson, very noted high school football coach here in the state of Mississippi back in the early 2000s and early 2010s. He worked for Dan Mullen after coming out of Madison, Mississippi, and was on his recruiting staff for a long time. Always wanted an on-the-field position. That didn't happen. Brings him in as kind of a CEO face for the program to run kind of the operations side. So already some movement in the coaching staff. And as you said, I mean, Zach Arnett moving some pieces around on the chessboard, and I don't think that he's done doing that yet.
Yeah, interesting. And when I was referencing Lincoln Riley, I just defensively, you don't want to lose your edge defensively. I don't think they will with Zach Arnett being the head coach. Is he going to run the defense himself, Jake, or is he going to bring in a defensive coordinator?
That's a great question that we don't know the answer to yet. I would say early it looks like he'll probably be the defensive coordinator.
Right.
But again, we should have more reports on that. As a matter of fact, I'll be talking to some people today. That'll be one of the questions I'll be asking today.
Mm-hmm.
Is this one of those ones where, I mean, do you try to keep as many somewhat of a ties to Mike Leach's offense? I know you mentioned, kind of a hybrid version because of the guys that they recruited, or, is this one where Zach Arnett slowly kind of fades away a lot of that air raid?
That's a great question. I think you have to have to have some semblance of a system that is, this is my opinion, of what you were running. I mean, you've got a quarterback in Will Rogers who's still got another year left, and some quarterbacks coming in through this recruiting cycle that recruited for this offense. You've got a nice wide receiver room. I know that they're eyeing some guys in the transfer portal. You're very thin as far as traditional running backs is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
In the SEC. So I think you will see somewhat of a hybrid offense, but I don't think that they're going to pivot and go back to a power spread immediately or anything of that nature. I don't think you'll see them going under center, the 2 tight ends or anything like that. But I do think that they'll try to stay somewhat in the family of the air raid. And maybe with a modified version of it.
Yeah, it's interesting because Dylan Johnson announced his destination. He transferred. He goes to Washington. and to play for DeBoer. And then you've got Ra Thomas. He ends up going to Georgia. So they've lost some guys. But what shape is the roster in now? Because, when you lose Coach Leach, but those two guys had already left the program even before his just tragic death. What shape is the roster in right now, and how did recruiting turn out overall from the 21st through the 23rd to keep the class together?
All things considering, which could have been an absolute disaster for Mississippi State,
right.
It turned out pretty darn well. Mississippi State finishes, at least before the second signing period, with a top 25 to 30 type class, depending on the outlet that you subscribe to for your recruiting rankings, be it the On3s or 247s or ESPNs. But you look at it, they kept most of the guys that had already been offered scholarship offers. Got a really good quarterback coming out of the state of Tennessee, got several guys out of the state of Mississippi, and then picked up two guys in the transfer portal that are Mississippi products. One from the University of Miami, defensive back, and then, of course, you look at Radar Jones coming back home from LSU. He'll be playing at Mississippi State in the secondary as well. So, the roster as far as the defensive side is really solid, bringing back a lot of guys. Offensively, there's some holes to plug. Probably would like to pick up a running back in the transfer portal. Got a junior college running back coming in on this cycle as well that they'll expect to get, several, some nice carry load, as you say. Going to get some carries there from Mississippi State. So I think you got to find a running back. I think you need a couple offensive skill players. Offensive line, it wouldn't hurt to grab one there. So, most of the work as far as transfer portal, I think, is going to be on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah. A lot of questions surrounding Mississippi State and where Zach Arnett goes and where the Bulldog program is. But it seems like there's also questions in Oxford as well. It seems like Lane Kiffin, this is a really odd time for Lane Kiffin right now in Oxford.
It is. You look at Ole Miss. I think if you would have asked any Ole Miss fans at the beginning of the year, hey, look, coming off a year where you played for a Sugar Bowl, where you won 10 games for the first time in the history of the program, Matt Corral heads off to the NFL. What if we gave you 8 wins? Would you take 8 wins? I think most people would say yes. But looking at the schedule, the way the schedule set up, where they had all the success on the front end, had a close win against Kentucky, and then the back-end disaster that happened for Ole Miss, losing a couple games that, they even had a chance to win there, and then losing the Egg Bowl to Mississippi State, and then the bowl game itself against Texas Tech. I think that was kind of the crux there for a lot of Ole Miss fans. Visibly upset Lane Kiffin was after the bowl game. Talked about changes that had to be made in his program. I don't know if it's more so personnel. There are some guys that are going to have to go find. Jonathan Mingo yesterday declares he's headed to the NFL. They've lost some guys in the transfer portal. I believe 16 have bolted the program, which, that's kind of like a running average, I guess you could say, around the country as far as roster attrition and the transfer portal. So, he's going to have to go pick up some guys in the transfer portal. The big thing that we got yesterday, and coming back off the holiday, is a lot of people upset with Lane's quote-unquote analytics and the way that he is calling some of these situational down and distances in ball games. And you saw that again kind of bite him in the back end in the bowl game. So there are some questions. Lane Kiffin, I think, is a fantastic football coach. I think Ole Miss is going to have a really nice team next year. But like a lot of teams, they've got some things they got to work through. It
looks like, Jake, if you go by the rumor mill, too, that he's going to make changes defensively because they just weren't good the second half of the year.
They really weren't. There were some issues there defensively. There could be some changes that you see made along the defensive staff side. And then, of course, there's some personnel that they've got to find as well. When you look at Ole Miss, that was one of the things that kind of got overlooked with Matt Corral in the 10-win season that they had, 2 years ago, is that defense played pretty darn well. With an offense that leaned on a running game that was pretty darn good in the SEC, trying to bring Jackson Dart up and along in this offense, who, ended up having a decent year by SEC standards. The defense just did not do the job that it did the year before. And I think that's where you saw a lot of the letdown this year. that's something they'll definitely have to address in the offseason.
Well, no doubt. Well, Jake, we appreciate it. We'll talk hoops later. I know it was a rough night in Mississippi last night. Ole Miss and Mississippi State had tough results on the road, but going to be an interesting rest of the off season in football as well, heading into the second signing period to see the adjustments made staff-wise by Ole Miss and Mississippi State. A lot to talk about. Let everybody know how to connect with you.
Yeah, I sure appreciate that, and it is a lot to talk about. We'll get to football, of course, basketball, like you said, really heating up in the SEC. On Twitter, at Jake Wim. Just find me on Twitter, at Jake Wim, and then, of course, you can find us on thezone1059.com. If you want to stream the show, I'm on 3 to 6 each and every day in the great state of Mississippi. And, of course, just search Apple iTunes for the podcast. Just search The Afternoon Drive with Jake Wimberly. You'll find it there as well.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Jake.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
All right, let's get that break in. When we come back, we'll react to what Jake said and talk some more college football. All that and more, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Still got a clean slate this morning. No wrecks, no stalls, no traffic signal problems to report. You be careful on your trip in. Watch out for the school buses. They're back out on the routes again this morning. Membership at the Y includes more than a workout. They have swimming pools, classes, and free childcare. Special rates for the military and nationwide access. For a limited time, you pay no joining fee at the YMCA, Madison, and Huntsville. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Rambo Marine in Hazel Green is your one-stop shop for all things boating. Whether you are ready to surf with the newest Malibu wake boat or cruise on a Cobalt or Barletta pontoon, we have a boat ready for you and your family. Rambo Marine provides exceptional service second to none, so that you are ready to hit the water in no time. Stop by Rambo Marine today. We know boats.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
At Bryant Bank, we believe your goals are worth chasing, and every step along the way is worth celebrating. From your hopes for the future to the challenges that keep you up at night, we're here for you. Bryant Bankers put care into action to help you live legendary by stepping up when you need us most and doing what's right even when no one is watching. Come experience a local bank whose people greet you by name and treat you like family. Bryant Bank, member FDIC.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
Wow. I guess want everybody just to kind of be melancholy as they make their way into work today on a Wednesday morning. All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. You do get college football on Sunday, though. You have the FCS National Championship game. It'll be going up against the NFL on TV-wise. But number 1, South Dakota State. Number 3, North Dakota State. That's your FCS National Championship game this weekend.
Luckily, it won't be played in either state, because then it would probably be frozen.
In Frisco, yeah.
Unless, but of course, at North Dakota State, at least you'd be inside. I don't know that you would be at South Dakota State, but
no, you wouldn't be. You'd be outside.
Yeah, so there you go. So it'll be. I guess we're in Frisco, Texas. So
1 o'clock, you can watch some college football if you want to.
Yeah, so that'll wrap up the FCS season for everyone. And then, of course, Monday will be the national championship game. And, Wolverine Dan had called in and was asking, about, some of the officiating and some of the play calling and things of that nature. Really, I'll just say I thought that Michigan played well.
Right.
I thought, it kind of reminded me of when Alabama lost to Ole Miss when they had 5 turnovers in 2015. I think if Michigan played TCU 10 times, Michigan would probably win 7.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. They made too many mistakes. Just like the 2 pick sixes, and then the just instead of sneaking it, they try to hand off and they fumble into the end zone. They allowed TCU to stay in the game and to hang around. Now I thought that they showed a lot of resiliency coming back. And especially when you consider they didn't have Blake Corum. Now, I think their defense was a little disappointing because you thought that they would have been a little bit more dominant on the line of scrimmage. But again, I thought overall that that you could question some of the play calling, some of the decision making. But I thought Michigan, showed a lot of fight. They continued to battle. They made it. They continued to come back though because of all the turnovers. They were basically trying to dig out of a hole the entire game. But I still thought that they made a good acquitting of themselves. I thought they should have won the game. As far as I picked them to win, I thought they would play better than they did. But it sometimes takes a while to break through because it certainly took Kirby a while. And so we'll see. Now, I still don't know. I still question whether Michigan has enough speed outside. I think they're definitely physical. I definitely think they can run the football.
Right.
I think they're solid defensively. But it comes down to big playability, and I just don't know that they had enough of the big playability besides Ronnie Bell outside. But we'll see what adjustments Harbaugh makes. And if he stays, I mean, Wolverine Dan saying he's talked to some boosters, saying that, Harbaugh is going to flirt but stay, and he did it last year. So it's going to be interesting because,
how many times can he do that?
He can do it as many as he wants because at Michigan, look, man, now that he's flipped the script on Ryan the Choker, I mean, he's got control of that series. He's the king in Ann Arbor, more so than basketball.
Does he not do that if he lost to Ohio State?
I don't know. But he didn't. And it took him 5 years, but he's gotten control of the series. To be honest with you, he's just now starting to get it rolling the way he wanted because, again, he tried some different things when he came to Michigan. He kind of changed his MO from when he was at San Diego and Stanford and even the NFL. And then he realized, okay, I'm going back to what the core of what I did to get here.
Right.
And it's just now started to take hold. And so I think in a way, it would be a mistake for him to leave and go back to the NFL, but that's what's going to be a fascinating part of this offseason.
All right, let's go out to the phone lines. John C. with us this morning. Good morning, John.
Good morning, fellas.
Morning, sir.
Was it me or did Alabama not look like the best team in the country on Saturday?
Well, I mean,
they
certainly played well. It arguably might have been their best performance. And it's kind of ironic because in 2010, Alabama's best performance was the bowl game at the end against Michigan State, and that's what everybody talked about and how where has this team been all year? They lost 3 games, but they finally got healthy. They finally got focused, and this group kind of ended the same way. It's interesting.
Yeah, that's basically all I had this morning. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks, John. And you could argue, I mean, Alabama looked the complete part in the Sugar Bowl. Is that the Alabama, though, that obviously if Alabama goes into LSU and plays that way, they win that ball game.
Of course.
There's no doubt about it. That was the Alabama, though, that we thought when we were sitting at SEC Media Days, that Sugar Bowl Alabama, was that the one we envisioned all season?
Well, what we didn't see, and they didn't figure it out until the second half against Ole Miss, is the formula. They didn't get back to being physical along the line of scrimmage until then, and committing themselves to it. In other words, with the play calling and staying with the run, instead of we on these last 3 running plays, we went 2 yards, 1 yard, and 4 yards. So Bryce has got to save us, and let's throw the ball 45, 50 times. That's not what the formula was for this team. The formula for this Alabama team to be the best was to throw the football between 25 and 35 times and run it 35 to 40-plus times.
All right, Brandon with us real fast. Good morning, Brandon.
Morning, sir.
Morning. That was a good prediction by you last night, Drew, that 75-70.
Yeah, I came close.
You got real close. You were +1, -1, so not too bad.
You were Grady the Greek-esque.
Yeah, I was.
Our good friend Jeff want to talk about that game last night. I hope he realizes that Oates was letting Charles Bediako shoot threes last night.
Yeah, it was pretty ugly looking.
They were up so big at times you could tell that he was just running stuff within the game just so people could do it. He was not trying to hammer down and beat them by 50. He was trying to let some of those guys get a feel. And, I mean, I laughed out loud when I saw Charles Bediako shoot that 3 because I think they said he's 0 for 1 this year.
He is. He's made them in practice. I've actually seen him make them. It is kind of interesting to watch.
It would have been, if he'd have made that 3 last night, it would have been like the white dude, I can't remember his name, the walk-on that they kept playing at the end of the game. Everybody would get all fired up, rah, rah, rah for.
Yeah.
That would have been kind of the equivalent of that. I guess you could say it would almost be like when
Lawson Schaefer, as I think who you're talking about.
Schaefer, yeah. Was it Brad Stevens that used to bring Taco Fall in and he would make everybody cheer real, real loud before he would bring them into the game?
Well, that was Johnny Dawkins. Taco was actually at UCF, and it brought back a bad memory last night. UCF against Avery Johnson was down 22 with 16 minutes left, and Avery found a way to blow it.
Well, Brad Stevens had him in Boston.
Oh, you're talking about in the NBA.
Yeah, Brad Stevens had Taco.
Oh, that's right.
In
That's
Boston.
right. When he went pro, being 7'6". Yeah, gotcha.
And that's what Nate Oates would do. Nate Oates would make everybody kind of get up before he would bring him in. So I just think Nate was kind of playing within himself in that game last night, trying to figure out a few things. He was trying to run a few things because he knew he could do it in that game.
Well, it's going to be a tough one against Kentucky. It's going to be an interesting game, and it's a big one because Alabama's got a chance to go 3-0 in the SEC.
Well, I bought tickets to that game right when they came out because I felt like that one was going to be a big one.
Yeah.
And then when the whole Missouri thing happened, I thought to myself, I said, I think we got him. And then when I was watching last night, and I was watching what he was doing in the game, where he was playing a game within the game, I feel like maybe even Oates, what he's trying to do, he's trying to step himself up to get his team ready for Saturday. It's going to be great.
Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate it.
You know what Jeff didn't bring up?
What?
Music City Bowl.
No, he's not going to talk about that.
He left that off the table.
Barry and Brown needs to get in the portal and come to Alabama. Drop the zeros and get with the heroes.
What was that?
Well, that's what they got, a 0. They didn't score.
That is true. That is true. All right, you scored, Alabama. Let's get that top of the hour break in. We'll talk basketball when we return.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Check out VSiN's catalog of original podcasts, daily and weekly programming to keep you in the know when you're on the go. Only at VSIN.com. Now, here are the latest lines from my guys in the desert.
NFL final week of the season for the Saints and Falcons. Atlanta hosting the Buccaneers on Sunday afternoon. Atlanta a 4.5-point home favorite, the over-under 40. Saints, despite missing the playoffs, trying to finish on a 4-game winning streak. They're a 3.5-point home favorite against the Panthers, 41.5 the total. College basketball tonight, number 22 Auburn going on the road to face Georgia. The Tigers a 6.5-point road favorite, 136.5 the over-under. College football playoff national championship Monday night, TCU looking for their first title since 1938. They're a 12.5-point underdog against top-ranked Georgia, looking for their second straight national championship.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And just like that, we're off. We're running hour number 2 of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. In case you missed any of the hour number 1, head over to our YouTube page or Twitch TV, and you can watch hour number 1 there. It's 97.7 ESPN The Zone, and we kick off hour 2 going back to the college basketball talk. Last night, Alabama was in action taking on Ole Miss. Tennessee with wins, Vanderbilt, Kentucky. Tonight, Auburn. They are in action as they will take on Georgia. They travel to Georgia for their SEC road debut. But you got that one tonight. And I don't know, Drew, did you see the picture of Memorial Coliseum last night up there for Vanderbilt? Did you see the pictures of the attendance?
Yeah, I mean, it was spotty. But that's not surprising to me because Coach Stackhouse has not been winning consistently. Both the teams that came in, he and Lamont Paris were 7-6. It was both their SEC openers, so it's 2 rebuilding programs, and it seems like since the landmark class that Bryce Drew signed that never came to fruition just because of injury and circumstance, since they let him go and he's now at Grand Canyon, it just seems like the program has been in a perpetual rebuild. And so it's been a little frustrating, and I know we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about early returns in the SEC with our next guest, and of course he does a great job with Southeastern 14. Also blue ribbon basketball, which is some believe the Bible in college hoops, and that is Blake Lovell, and we wish him a happy new year, and he's joining us now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Blake, welcome back to the show. How are you, sir?
Yeah, doing well, guys. Good to talk to you as always.
And your thoughts on, I know you're based out of Nashville. You're very close to the Vanderbilt program. They got the overtime win yesterday. It wasn't pretty. But where do we stand with Vanderbilt? And we know South Carolina's in a rebuild with Lamont Paris, but where do we stand with the Commodores?
Yeah, I think, honestly, it's really a matter of what does Vanderbilt, accept and want to be. And as you know, Drew, that's always been a very interesting question.
Right.
Based on just the leadership and that kind of stuff, throughout the years. And I think we're to a point now where to me, it's very clear, like, are they going to get back to where they were with Kevin Stallings as things are headed right now? I don't think so. And that's the thing. I kept saying a lot, and you always say you be careful what you wish for because, Kevin Stallings may have not had the personality that a lot of people wanted. But the fact is he kept Vanderbilt relevant in the SEC and kept them pretty much in the top tier for many, many years outside of a year or two here or there. And so I think that's the question now becomes, do you want to get back to that, or are you just okay with just kind of making that slight progress that could be a very long-term deal to where, all right, maybe it's going to be Jerry Stackhouse' 7th or 8th year before we're doing anything. Here's the problem with that. As you guys know, and as Nate Oates has proven, right, you can change an entire trajectory of a program in one off season. You can go out and rebuild your entire team now in the transfer era, recruiting. You can do it all in one season. And I just think it's to the point to where I don't know what the expectation is anymore, what Vanderbilt looks at and says this is successful, because we saw them give Jerry Stackhouse a contract extension based off of, making big strides. Don't get me wrong, like they turned a corner last year, but it was still turning a corner and basically being 7-11 in the SEC, right? So, and now I just think it's, where do they get to? I don't know. They start 1-0 in the SEC here, but boy, their next 4 games are really, really tough. And if we look up and they're 1-4, it wouldn't surprise anybody. And I just think it's going to be interesting to see what they decide in terms of where they actually want to be as a program. So,
yeah, a lot of questions there with Vanderbilt. The 2 programs right now I don't think we have questions too much with are Alabama and Tennessee, both victorious last night. Alabama, an 84-62 win over Ole Miss. Now they get Kentucky on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Alabama and Tennessee are 1A and 1B, and, I wouldn't throw Arkansas out just yet, because I think, if they get Nick Smith back, they're in that same conversation. But without him, I think it's a lot, tougher to be in that. But I mean, you look at Alabama. I said it for probably a month and a half now. I just think they have the highest upside of any team in the league, and obviously that factors in Tennessee, because we saw last night Tennessee defensively is good enough just to do anything to anybody in terms of just slowing teams down. And Mississippi State's not a great offensive team, and that's what I think is going to send them kind of going backwards after such a great start. But with Tennessee, their defense it is what it is. It's pretty remarkable at times when you actually just watch them play on that side of the floor. And now if they can just avoid those offensive stretches, right? That's what we talked about for years with Tennessee, is just those stretches where they can't score. Will that still pop up the rest of the way? Probably. But I think this team is starting to turn a corner and figure some things out, in several areas on offense. Not saying they're going to fix it all, but I think they're getting there. And then for Alabama, it's just, I feel like Alabama is sort of the complete package outside of, some turnovers. And that's, I think we probably said before, I think that just kind of comes with the territory. But look at last night, right? They played a good defensive team last night in Ole Miss, and they only turned the ball over 7 times. That's a step in the right direction. From top to bottom, I think Alabama is the deepest team in the league. They have the best player in the league, in my opinion, in Brandon Miller. And so when you combine all those things together with the style and everything else, they're obviously a much better defensive team than they were a year ago. Look, they play a Kentucky team on Saturday that sometimes doesn't know what offense is when you watch them play. And I think that gives Alabama a nice advantage in that kind of game. And to me, it just seems like it's a 1-2 race right now to me between Alabama and Tennessee.
Well, and Blake, also, one thing I like about Alabama, and sometimes the injuries can be a blessing, and only because of guys getting comfortable and finding their roles. And I think when they bring Damari Burnett back, they certainly he'll be a big part of things, and you can play him. He's an outstanding defender. He's a shot maker. But putting Sears and Bradley in the backcourt together, I think, has helped quell the turnovers. Bradley is an old-school point guard. He's what I call a dog. He's just one of these guys. He's not overly, quick. He's not supremely athletic, though he is he has athleticism. But it's not one of these. It's not a J.D. Davison type thing. But his basketball IQ is really good, and offensively the flow seems to be better with him in there in the starting lineup, and the ball doesn't stick.
Yeah, it's a good combination, I think. Like you said, it's just having that ability to have someone that does play kind of that old school type style, especially at that position. Because that's what I always say. I mean, we've said it over the years. In how Nate Oates wants to play, like the guy who's handling the ball primarily, which again can be multiple guys, like we talked about, but it's such a big part of how things flow, and I think that it doesn't get any more important than in terms of how they play and having that position where you feel like you do have someone, that can do the things that a Jaden Bradley can do. So I think when you look at it from that standpoint, you're playing off of Sears, and there's just there's a lot of different options I think it gives you, and a little bit more confidence in what you can do in that regard. And that's why, again, you look at just the depth on this team, and it's very interesting to think back to like going into the season, and we're looking around and saying, man, look at all these freshmen and these guys that are coming in, and obviously you got Sears transferring in. It's just, what is this going to look like from a rotation standpoint? Because Natos theoretically can play 10 guys, and it's just, it's how do they kind of mix and match and figure out the right chemistry in the right spots, and that can take some time. And look at kind of how far along they've come. They've only played 14 games now, but I think now they're starting to realize, okay, this is the best combination we have to work with at probably our most important position with how we want to play. And now that they're figuring that out, going into two tough games coming up here against Kentucky, and then going to Fayetteville to play Arkansas.
Right.
I think it's a good spot for Alabama to be in, just given kind of the confidence they're playing with there.
And you mentioned Arkansas. I do want to mention that they have Missouri tonight. Missouri inside the top 25. Arkansas sitting there. You mentioned don't count out Arkansas. That's a big one tonight.
It is, and I think the interesting thing with Arkansas is if you watch that LSU game, what LSU did was, hey, you guys want to shoot the three? Go right ahead. And it didn't work out well for Arkansas. And I think that's where if people copy what LSU did, knowing that this is a team, when you take Nick Smith off the floor, and that's not discounting Anthony Black. I mean, both those guys are top 10 picks in the NBA draft. But if you take one of them off the floor, specifically Nick Smith and kind of his skill set, and certainly we don't know when he's going to play again, it changes things a lot for a team that has not made a lot of shots from outside. And so if you can kind of game plan the way LSU did and say, hey, we're going to kind of just let you guys do what you want, but you're not going to come to the rim and beat us there. You're going to have to take some jump shots. I think that's where Missouri can have a lot of success, and I wouldn't be surprised if Dennis Cage tries to replicate some of the same things that they saw in that LSU game. And on the flip side, I try to hold back, and Drew knows I've talked about Dennis Cage, I feel like, for a while now.
Yeah.
He is, like I said, I mean, he's got it. Whatever it is, he's got it, and I did not expect them to turn it around as quickly as they have. But here they are, and I don't think you can ignore the fact that have they struggled defensively at times? Did they get blown out against Kansas? Yes. But they just completely walloped Illinois and Kentucky. And, I mean, the Kentucky game was 14 points. It wasn't that close. And so when you consider all of that, you've got a Missouri team in a league where I think defense is really kind of the main theme. You've got teams like Missouri and Alabama who are elite offensive teams. And I think that's what can be the difference maker for them. Because Missouri they can do anything they want offensively. Now, if the defense still slips, that could cost them in a game like this against Arkansas. But I think Missouri's got a chance to beat any team on their schedule based on the fact of how good they are offensively and their ability to turn people over. But man, I'm telling you guys, this is a great game. Like early on here in the SEC slate, like this should be a fantastic game between these two.
And then what about Auburn? They grinded out one at home against Florida, and Todd Golden in the Bruce Pearl Bowl, kind of. He's a Bruce Pearl guy. But now they're going to Georgia to take on Mike White. And Georgia's kind of been flying under the radar. What do you think about this matchup tonight?
Yeah, I don't know if that one will be as pretty as the perhaps the Missouri-Arkansas game. I feel like, and I know there's some Auburn fans that have kind of gotten on me about this, but I feel like I criticize Auburn a lot, and I think it's in relation to. I think you have to keep it in context of this team's 11-2. I get it, like they're 11-2, right? That's a lot better spot than a lot of other teams,
right?
But if you put it in the context of comparing them to last season or several seasons ago or whatever, I just don't think this team has that next gear just yet. Now, maybe can they get there? Maybe, but I just think offensively, to me, it's pretty clear that if Auburn's going to win some of these games, especially as they play tougher competition, it's going to be a grind. Like, it's going to be a game that may not be as pretty as you're used to seeing with Bruce Pearl teams that may have scored, 90-something points or something in a high-scoring type game. These are going to have to be lower-scoring games, I think, for Auburn to be able to have success. Because really, look at it, guys. If you look at their top three opponents just from the computers this season, they played, I think you could argue, it's probably Florida, Northwestern, and St. Louis. All of those games, the Northwestern game, 43-42, that's kind of an outlier, but it still proves the point that, St. Louis 65-60, Florida 61-58. these are the kind of games that I think Auburn's going to be playing all season, because I think that's how they have to win. I don't think they pack that offensive punch. They don't shoot it well enough. They're not a great free throw shooting team. They turn the ball over. All those different things. And even with the experienced guards, there's inconsistency there. Now, can all of those guys go off and give them a huge output? Sure they can. But I think doing it all at the same time has been a challenge so far. And so I think they're going to have to win with their defense, because they're an elite defensive team. And I think tonight against Georgia, look, Georgia is better. Clearly they're better than they were last year under Tom Crean. That's not asking for a whole lot. But they're much better. They're much improved. And I think Mike White is going to get them to a point to where they're just kind of in that middle range, which is all you're asking for after completely bottoming out. I think Georgia can give Auburn some problems because, again, I don't think Auburn's the kind of team in this kind of matchup where two defenses are probably going to decide the game here. And I just think that, again, I don't know if Auburn could just run away with this game based on the fact that Georgia and how they play, they've kept a lot of games close. And so I wouldn't be surprised if this is a better game than maybe people expect it to be.
Yeah, and Georgia nearly beat them in Stegman last year, so this will be interesting tonight. Auburn on the road. Well, Blake, great stuff with the Southeastern 14. You and Chris Lee covering basketball unlike any other. Let everybody know how to connect with you.
Yeah, I always appreciate you guys. Like you said, Southeastern14.com. You can obviously go to YouTube, search for Southeastern 14. All of our videos, multiple videos going up every day. You can check out all of our basketball coverage and, of course, football and baseball soon enough. So you can check everything out there. And, everything else, you can follow me on Twitter at DBlakeBubble.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Blake.
Thanks, guys.
Believe it or not, Texas A&M plays tonight. They play Florida. SEC opener for the Aggies. They have yet to play an SEC game.
Yeah, I mean, they've been too busy trying to clean up for Dirt Neck, the moron of the year.
Oh, we've already got a candidate for 2020.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
We've only crossed off 2 shows.
Yeah, and it's not even Jeff.
No, not even 2 shows. Yeah, not even Jeff. He hasn't done anything
It's not
yet.
Jeff. It's not, his take today wasn't horrible.
Skip Bayless probably gets one, too.
Yeah.
He gets a nomination. All right, let's get a break in.
He'd be the second.
We come back. Your phone calls. Hey, the phone lines are open, 256-576-4977. Give us a call.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We got a lot of folks in last-minute dash mode this morning trying to make it in on time, but I'm not seeing any problems to keep that from happening. You be careful as you make that last dash in. The $6 big box is back at Popeyes with 2 pieces of that hand-battered Louisiana seasoned chicken, 2 sides, and a buttermilk biscuit. Popeyes, University, and Jordan, 72 in Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-306-8158 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-306-8158. That's 800-306-8158. What do you have to lose? Call 800-306-8158. Again, 800-306-8158.
Rambo Marine in Hazel Green is your one-stop shop for all things boating. Whether you are ready to surf with the newest Malibu wake boat or cruise on a Cobalt or Barletta pontoon, we have a boat ready for you and your family. Rambo Marine provides exceptional service second to none, so that you are ready to hit the water in no time. Stop by Rambo Marine today. We know boats.
Champy's famous fried chicken started in Chattanooga, but the history of the fried chicken, hand-rolled Mississippi Delta tamales, and comfort food sides started decades before. Champy's famous fried chicken is made from an old family recipe from down in the Delta, and everything is fresh and homemade, including all of the sides and desserts. Come visit Champy's famous fried chicken. You'll find it's the best fried chicken and hand-rolled tamales you've ever had. On Madison Boulevard in the old Bison's location in the Publix Plaza with 22 taps in the full-service bar and 2 outdoor patios. See ya at Champy's.
Two Maids and a Mop. That's all you need to know to clean house. Two Maids and a Mop is an award-winning company, bonded and insured. Hire them for yourself, or they have gift cards if you want to make someone else's day. Find out more online at twomaidshuntsville.com. A maid service worth talking about. Two Maids and a Mop take care of everything. They supply all the cleaning equipment needed. Call 256-883-6243. The only finger you'll need to lift is the one to call them.
All right, welcome back. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond with you. 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. You can join the program, join the conversation, join all of the fun here this morning as we continue just to get you ready for a little bit of everything that is going on around the area. One thing, as far as I mentioned the NCAA, the Transformation Committee, they also talked about, and they haven't put this on the table yet for a vote or anything, but countable coaches for football. Right now, it does not look as if they're going to let college football add more. There's no recommended change to the number of football countable
coaches. There's plenty of football coaches. What they need to be doing is adding a third paid baseball coach.
They've kind of taken care of that, I thought. I thought that the avenue has been paved for that by allowing them to add another member. So I thought I saw that a couple months ago. That is.
They need to. They need to allow more money to be put into college baseball. It's already at a disadvantage because of the scholarship situation in Title IX, but they need to have 3 full-time assistant coaches in college baseball, along with your head coach. I mean, come on. I mean, it's ridiculous. You got all these full-time. You got at least 3 full-time coaches, and really you got off-the-court people in basketball. There needs to be full-time guys that are paid, not just camp money, guys that are full-time coaches in college baseball. I mean, come on, man. I mean, get real. I mean, that's what needs to happen. College baseball, I know that, the stadiums are smaller, but there's rabid following, especially in the SEC. Omaha's a big deal. College baseball can make money if it's run properly. They need to allow more money. Softball's becoming bigger.
Back in October, they did vote on legislation that would give schools the ability to turn all volunteer positions across every Division I sport, including baseball and softball, into full-time paid positions.
Please let it happen. Don't get it caught up in red tape. It needs to happen. No question about it.
And the transformation, this was back in October. They also are considering a proposal at that time based on a recommendation from the American Baseball Coaches Association and the National Fast Pitch Coaches Association to add a 4th full-time paid assistant to baseball and softball.
Hey, I like that.
The ability to pass that proposal has less certainty, though, believe it, around 50-50. But I haven't seen anything on the vote yet. So I don't know. That was back in October. I haven't seen anything.
And one of the guys, the Connected Insiders, as you know, John Rothstein with CBS, he just tweeted this about, you kind of talked about it this morning already, but he said the agenda for next week's D1 Board of Directors meeting at next week's NCAA convention does not currently include expanding the NCAA tournament.
No, and I said that. That's you know, the NCAA has the ability to add up to 25% of every team, of 25% of the teams in every championship sport now to be eligible for the championship. But each individual sport has the ability to say no. And basketball is saying no to adding 90 teams to the NCAA tournament.
Sorry. We don't need that.
I mean, shoot, we
did finally get a 16 beating a 1. It took forever.
I mean, yeah, it did. But
and then I finally found out where he is. You know, UMBC was the one that,
Missouri,
upset
Baltimore
Virginia.
County.
Yeah. Maryland, Baltimore.
Or Maryland, Baltimore County, yeah.
Yeah, and it was Ryan Odom, Dave Odom's son. Dave Odom, longtime coach at Wake Forest, South Carolina, and an assistant for Terry Holland for those great Virginia teams. He is at Utah State. So he parlayed beating Virginia.
Oh, wow.
As a 16 versus a 1. He is now at Utah State. So I saw that as they were playing in the tournament over in Hawaii, where they lost, of course. But they've gotten off to a nice start this year, though.
All right, pause the basketball conversation because I do got to get this football thing in there, and I meant to kick it around earlier, but I did not. Will Reichert, who initially said, I am going to take my talents and I'm going to try to kick in the NFL, is bringing his little tee back, his kicking balls back, and he's coming back to Alabama.
Eli Ricks made a blunder, in my opinion. He'll be no. I mean, he may surprise me and work out well and against air and run a good 40 and everything, and he might go in the third round. But I don't know how the hell he goes above the fourth or the fifth to me, because I know he was a quote-unquote 5-star at IMG Academy, but who gives a damn now, because that was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. He was a freshman All-American at LSU, was a good player, got hurt early in his sophomore year at LSU. Then Ed Ogeron got fired, so he transfers to Alabama. He admittedly had trouble learning the scheme his junior year at Alabama. Did get on the field, played well against Mississippi State, but then it was kind of a mixed bag from that point forward, and he got a couple of big interference penalties against LSU that helped Alabama lose that game. He's 6'2", got really good length, but he decides to go pro. I think he could have created value for himself coming back, and he'll certainly get an opportunity. He does have the talent. I just don't see him going before the fourth or fifth round, because I just don't think he produced enough on the field. I think he passes the look test,
right?
But you have to be able to produce, and he really hasn't done so since he was a freshman. So Eli Ricks goes pro, but you're right. Will Reichert, who had announced on social media that he was going to accept a Senior Bowl invite and he was going to move on to the NFL, reverses field yesterday and says he's coming back, and I'm happy to see it. Kickers, it's hard. It's a mixed bag. A lot of times they don't get drafted. I do think Will is a draftable kicker, but if you remember back to his freshman year in 2019,
right,
he missed the majority of it with some freak injuries and wasn't able to be the kicker full time that everyone thought. And then in 2020, he didn't miss a kick as Alabama won the national title, and he's had 2 really good years since then. So now Alabama signed a kicker from Chicago, Illinois, in their class. Connor Talty, he can redshirt now, and Will Reichert can carry the torch for one more year as he comes back for a COVID year. It looks like he and potentially Darian Dalcourt. Now, remember, dudes could still transfer after spring, so there still could be some guys move on. But Will Reichert, as of now, looks like he and Darian Dalcourt could be the only 2 potential COVID guys to return.
All right, let's get a break in because when we come back, transfer portal news that could, and I don't know, I'm going to ask you, affect Auburn maybe along the offensive line. I'll explain when we return.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. We should actually get to enjoy a little bit of sunshine this afternoon despite being on the backside of a cold front. Temperatures should actually be able to climb into the low and mid-60s. It'll be a chilly night, though, as we head into the overnight. Early into your Thursday morning, temperatures dropping into the upper 30s and lower 40s. Plenty of sunshine on Thursday afternoon. Temperatures a little cooler, but still above average. Highs climbing into the mid and upper 50s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Looking good for the last-minute ride in this morning. No wrecks, no stalls, no traffic signal problems to deal with. You be careful as you make that journey in. Right now, though, it looks like it's going to be pretty easy. Do you know who to call when you need a heart doctor? You could write this name down now so you have it in the future. Dr. Randall Burns is at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace Avenue, where they have the expertise to care for all matters of the heart. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
We love our pets, and when we need boarding or vet services, we want the best. That's why we chose Paradise Pet Resort and Spa. Everything our pets needed, all in one place. Boarding for both dogs and cats. Doggy daycare, grooming and spa services, web cameras, and top-notch vet care, too. It's a true Paradise Pet Resort for your furry friends, serving all of North Alabama. Find out everything you need to know and book services online at ParadisePetResortandSpa.com. Located in Madison, just off 565 at Wall Triana, behind Cracker Barrel.
Chapman Commercial Realty, your source for Alabama commercial real estate. Chapman Commercial Realty has the experience and expertise you're looking for when making commercial real estate decisions. If it's office space, retail space, investment property, or project development, Chapman Commercial Realty is your answer. Call Bill Chapman today at 256-656-8413. That's 256-656-8413. Or find them online at chapmancommercialrealty.com.
Tom Abraham here for my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Welcome back. Stan McDonald from the Stanton Law Firm. Had lunch with Lewis just recently and with a client of ours, a mutual client, and great to hear all the good things going on at the Stanton Law Firm.
Thank you, Wes. The Stanton Law Firm, as you know, we've discussed before, we're dirt lawyers. We do a lot of real estate, litigation and closing. And yes, my son Lewis McDonald enjoyed meeting you a couple of weeks ago, and a couple of your friends. He is, as you know, he's opened up a commercial closing division. So he's really helping a lot of people who are trying to close, buy, or sell on their commercial property. And you can't be in this community doing business without knowing Wes neighbors.
I don't know about that, but sure was getting to meet another McDonald and talking a little bit about his grandfather, Coach Dye, and right. The different things. It was a lot of fun.
Well, your listeners are really going to enjoy meeting Lewis and you in this community. And like I said, at Jacob Title or the Stanton Law Firm, we close business. We do some good commercial closings, residential closings. We appreciate being part of your show.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seed, Managing Partner of University Kia, letting you know we are proud supporters of Crimson Tide football. Stop into University Kia today and shop our large selection of new Kias, including the all-new Telluride 8-passenger SUV, the stylish new K5, and sporty new Seltos. Visit universitykia.com for all our great offers. And get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia today, because we want to see you in a Kia. Roll Tide!
Live local shows.
Hello.
Live local play-by-play.
Oh, now's a good time to check the radio.
Plus, the power of ESPN Radio. It's all right here. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Well, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you. And this one coming out just a little bit ago. Tennessee offensive tackle R.J. Perry.
Yeah.
Who prepped at Fairfield High School in the state of Alabama.
That's right, in the Ham.
Has gone into the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Is that somebody that Auburn would look at to bolster some offensive line help?
They got Dylan Wade from Tulsa, who's Philip Montgomery, their new offensive coordinator, coached him. So he's considered a major piece. I know Walter Rouse from Stanford. He's still making the rounds, still wants to make 2 or 3 more visits. He's already visited Auburn. Auburn feels pretty good that they're in the mix for him at least. They're going to take a look at a lot of offensive linemen because they have to. I mean, they signed some in their recruiting class, but they need some experienced dudes because they lost so much. Even though it wasn't considered a great O-line, they still lost a lot of experience. And so I think that's going to be the focus for Auburn. I'm not even sure that they're going to sign anybody like high school-wise or even JUCO in February, possibly. But I think the Auburn's main focus right now is on the transfer portal and trying to add some experience in key places like the defensive line, like the offensive line.
And it appears quarterback-wise, too.
And they're still they're still looking at. I mean, I know Robbie Ashford had a solid year, but again, there is no debating that he struggled as a passer. And so Auburn's still going to continue to kick the tires at QB. We just talked about it off the air. Grayson McCall went back to Coastal Carolina, but I think that had a lot to do with academics. It's what I tried to tell everybody. These dudes that are just, Grayson McCall didn't do this, man. He's not like he was trying to be I don't know how the hell
JT Daniels,
JT the Warrior, can even be eligible. I think he did graduate from Georgia, so I guess that's what's part of it. But how he's been to so many colleges, and Rice is a private school, is it not?
It is. Yes.
I mean, it's a pretty good academic school, so I was ripping them on their football program because 2 dogs and a cat attend the games, and that's true, but they are a good academic school.
No, they are.
So, I mean, sometimes you have to wonder.
He has been to some fine academic institutions. I mean, USC is a good institution.
And he sucked, but I mean, he has.
Georgia is good.
Yeah.
West Virginia is great.
I mean, I just don't know how. I mean, wow. I mean, he's
Can you
been
imagine
to so
the
many
alumni groups he'd have to join if he did graduate from?
But I mean, how many email addresses has he had? I don't know. But I mean,
JT Daniels at usc.edu.
Well, JT Daniels at ISuck.com. I don't know. I don't think he's very good myself. But I mean, Grayson McCall has put up great numbers at Coastal Carolina.
Yes.
He flirted with Florida. We thought he might visit Auburn, but I think his academic situation has halted his movement. Now, I mean, he could declare for the NFL draft, but Jamie Chadwell, as you know, Scott, left to go to Liberty, so he doesn't have his head coach. They kind of developed him. You thought he might go to Liberty, but it looks like academically he's going to be tied to Coastal. So he may go back to where he's been and continue to put up numbers unless he decides to move on to the NFL. But he definitely removed himself from the transfer portal. But like you said, Pratt from Tulane, there's rumors about Auburn being interested in him, and he just torched Lincoln Sharman and the USC Trojans. So, I mean, hey, man, opportunity. Hey, I know he's probably listening. Jameer Muhammad, just be in shape, bruh, because they need you bad. That's why they're bringing you out of the portal, because the Trojans right now can't tackle anybody. They're terrible.
He did catch 3 touchdown passes for Tennessee this year. Walker Merrill has put his name in the transfer portal today. So, more guys are going into the transfer portal every day, and that's why, it'll be interesting to see after Georgia and TCU play how many of those guys end up in the transfer portal
the
from
more
those
interesting
teams.
Question is after spring practice, when the next window opens in May and people start not liking where they are on the depth chart and flocking out of the portal and everything. And I'm just telling you, more than any time ever, you better have a roster sheet.
So while we are talking transfer portal, this is where coaches are going out trying to make their programs better. They're trying to get these right pieces via recruiting, transfer portal. A year ago, Lane Kiffin declares himself the transfer portal king because of everyone that he gets. But it all revolves around who's coaching your program. And did you realize that on this day, in 2007, Nick Saban was officially hired as Alabama head coach?
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's hard to believe it's been 16 years already, Scott. And when he got
this day.
when he got hired, I think it sent shockwaves throughout college football. They couldn't believe he was making nearly $4 million a year, and now, freaking coaches at Northwestern and Vanderbilt have made $4 million. So he totally changed the direction of college football. It was probably the most seismic move of the last 20 years. A lot of people didn't think he'd stay in Tuscaloosa. They thought he was a job hopper. They thought he would go back to the NFL, things of that nature.
Yeah.
They weren't sure how big he could win at Alabama because Alabama had not won since 1992, but certainly it didn't take long. And he changed the way programs are judged because he turned Alabama so quickly. He turned Alabama in just 3 years into a national champion, so now everybody wants to turn their program around. They've changed rules trying to almost derail his program, in my opinion, and try to slow it down with the bump rule where he was outworking head coaches getting on the road, with the hurry-up, no-huddle offense, with the transfer portal, with NIL, and he's been able to solve every problem. So it's been pretty amazing to watch. And I'll just say this, the SEC network, all these conference networks are in place because of success like Nick Saban has had in giving the focus to college football. And you see his influence all over the sport, whether it be assistant coaches, head coaches. The SEC is littered with head coaches that are his disciples. Lane Kiffin has become a wanted man just because he worked for Nick Saban. And he'll freely admit that. He was like, Coach Saban saved my career because when he got fired on the, coming off the bus or whatever from Southern Cal.
On the tarmac.
On the tarmac, from the airport. There wasn't a lot of people beating Lane Kiffin's door down.
No,
but then
there was not.
When Nick Saban hires him, he was able to resuscitate his career and Steve Sarkisian's, and now both have high-profile jobs. I mean, Lane Kiffin's making $9 million now at Ole Miss?
Yeah.
I mean, now he's having to make a lot of changes on his coaching staff. We know that because, again, I think Lane's biggest problem is defense. But I'll say this, too. Jackson Dart had a solid year at quarterback. I even saw a report yesterday that Ole Miss might be in the quarterback sweepstakes again because Luke Altmaier has left.
So Nick Saban in this time, 194 wins, 27 losses. Other programs from that tenure that are sitting around there, Ohio State 178-30. Boise State 165-41, Clemson 172-46, 166-46 for Oklahoma and Georgia 165-49. But Alabama 194-27 since 2007 under Nick Saban. That is remarkable numbers. Other numbers,
especially before you give those numbers. When you take into context, and, it's already happening because Charles Kelly's gone to Colorado.
Yeah.
He's still never returned the same coaching staff. And I still think several changes are coming to this one. If not, I'm going to have to start drinking wild turkey myself.
That is interesting because you're right. You're right. Hey, 6 national championships, 7 conference championships.
I mean, it's amazing. And again, and Dabo and Kirby will start to feel it, and Kirby's doing a great job.
Right.
I'm not taking a shot at Kirby. All I'm saying is when your coaches start leaving, like Dan Lanning's doing a great job at Oregon. He did a great job at Alabama as an analyst and then went to Georgia as a defensive coordinator. You're going to start losing coaches every year. And Dabo he's kept them together for several years.
Dabo is one coach that's not adapted well to losing his coaches.
He's lost a lot of coaches, and they have slipped.
Yep.
And they don't. Like I'm telling you, if you watched them against Tennessee and you think they look like a college football playoff team, then you absolutely need to have cataract surgery because they did not look like a college football playoff team.
Or a lobotomy.
Whatever.
We haven't used that one in 23 yet.
Yeah.
Let's get a break in. We have used our commercials. We need to use them here. We'll use them. We'll be back with our final segment of Talking Ball coming up after the break.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Well, we picked up an injury wreck as we try to wind things down this morning. This one's eastbound on 565 at exit 17A. That's going to put it close to Jordan Lane. It is reported as an injury type, so it's going to take a few minutes to clear. Everything else looks pretty good this morning. I don't see any other snags for you. You be careful on the rest of your trip in. No mask, no hose. You could ask Dr. Sandman, that's Dr. Sandlin, for the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-306-8158 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-306-8158. That's 800-306-8158. What do you have to lose? Call 800-306-8158. Again, 800-306-8158.
Football season is here, and as always, the best place to catch every game is downtown at Humphreys Bar and Grill. Humphreys is celebrating by bringing back their game day football specials. $2.75 Miller Lite, Coors Light, Yingling, and $3.50 Yellow Hammer Gold Pints. $4 Fireball shots. Anytime football is on. And don't forget football trivia every Sunday night at 6. The best place to catch all the games all season long is downtown at Humphreys Bar and Grill.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Attorney Tommy Sinyard on behalf of Sinyard Law, and again proud to be a sponsor of all things football here on ESPN Radio. My son Bart and I started our own law firm July 1 and are very proud and excited to be bringing you our 50 years of collective national award-winning injury trial law experience. Check us out on the web, sinyardlaw.com.
Sinyard Law, nationally recognized, locally respected.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Isn't the story of the prodigal son an amazing story? Basically, a rowdy boy who literally wished his father dead ran away and consumed his wealth with hard and fast living. Yet the father looked for his return every day, and when the boy got tired of eating pig slop, he decided to return. What did the father do? As soon as he saw that boy, he ran to him, threw his arms around him, and killed the fatted calf for a great celebration. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of the Cross Point Church. If you're looking for a church home, come see us, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison.
This will turn journalism on its ear.
Watch our stream on WZZN TV on Twitch and YouTube.
But you are the greatest hero in American history.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
We have not mentioned Damar Hamlin this morning, but the family 23 minutes ago did provide an update.
Yeah.
And this is per Damar Hamlin's family. Doctors overnight got promising readings that they have been hoping to see by this morning. They could not go into specifics, but progress appears to have been made so far in Damar Hamlin. He's still sedated in critical condition in the ICU, but I did read this morning as well that his oxygen intake, that he was at 100%. They were having to give him 100% oxygen yesterday.
Yeah.
It's down to 50%.
Well, that's a good sign.
So he continues to show signs of improvement, but they are showing signs. And his GoFundMe page, remember, he's had a toy charity that
it was over $3 million at one point.
It has gone up. It is Robert Kraft, the New England Patriots, Tom Brady, among others, have contributed, and it has just swelled. It has just swelled. So
yeah, that's great to see.
All good news.
And I mean, I saw the NFL announce that, and this doesn't surprise me with what they're going through this week, but that game would not be resumed this week. I didn't expect it to be. They will resume playing on Thursday, and then Sunday with the the Bengals and whatnot, and certainly with the Bills. And they're going to have to go back and finish this game. The reason I say that is because there's going to be a lot of, I think, playoff implications and seeding and things of that nature.
Right.
And they'll figure this out. But Damar Hamlin has been the most important thing right now. But I think the NFL will figure it out, and they'll be able to finish the game. But, yeah, I mean, it's been awesome to see the response around the National Football League.
His
been very touching.
GoFundMe page is at 6.1 million.
Yeah, so it's even doubled, since
in 24 hours. It has doubled.
Yeah, because I think we were talking about it yesterday, and it was at $3 million. So kudos to the NFL and all those folks that have contributed.
All right, 256-576-4977 if you want to join the program, join the show this morning. So that is the best headline we can give you right now. All right,
and then some interesting SEC basketball tonight. We talked about that with Blake Lovell. Can Auburn get a road win at Georgia, which is a difficult place to play? They won last year, but it was a very close game. You heard Blake talk about Auburn having trouble offensively at times, but they're a good defensive team. Can they get that win? Can Missouri keep this up? Kobe Brown, looking like the SEC Player of the Year. Can they go on the road and beat Eric Walmart and beat him, because that's basically how he put his roster together. But anyway,
Eric Musselman, in case you needed to know that one.
That's a new one. Yeah, that's a new
Eric Walmart.
Yeah.
That is a good one.
Yeah,
that is
the
newest a good
entry
one.
into the Druinary, and then one of the first in the new year.
That is a good one.
Eric Walmart. And so, and to see if they can beat the Razorbacks. And so we'll see. But it's going to be tough in Bud Walton Arena. Certainly Arkansas is tough at home. And they don't need to go down 2 games, does the Hogs, because they've already lost on the road at LSU. And I was really impressed with the Bayou Bengals last night. You heard what Blake said about being able to turn a roster around in 1 year. And sometimes it takes a few. We even talked about this too. Jeff Capel at Pitt, Damar Hamlin's University. They win against Virginia last night at home. So they have beaten Virginia and North Carolina in back-to-back games. And so there's some stories, and I think you mentioned it a little bit, Jimmy Larrañaga at Miami. They've only lost 1 game.
Yeah.
So there's some college basketball stories that are very interesting to track as conference play gets cranked up, because this is, for a college basketball fan, the best time of the year before the NCAA tournament.
The 64
Yeah,
NCAA tournament.
68, Scott,
68.
Remember. And it took me a while to get used to that.
That's why I forgot.
For the first 4.
62, 64,
but we're not going
68.
to 90. We don't want to see Jeff's head explode.
By the way, I was talking about who would attend the college football national championship game.
Right.
And when there was speculation that Michigan and Ohio State could meet each other for the national championship, the ticket prices were outlandish.
Yeah.
For this national championship game, because the quote unquote the game would have a rematch. And we've talked about with Alabama and Auburn how close they would have come to facing each other in the BCS and all that other stuff. It really came really close to Michigan and Ohio State, closer than Alabama and Auburn have ever happened. But ticket prices have dropped by nearly $1,000 since Ohio State and Michigan did not make it to the College Football National Championship. Ticket prices have dropped by $1,000.
Shocked? I mean,
I did not realize this.
The Little Ten never goes to the championship.
So here's how far. If you are driving from TCU, it's going to take you 21 hours to get there. If you are driving from Athens, Georgia, it's going to take you 30, or Georgia's drive is 33 hours.
Plane tickets. I'm 33 hours.
That is going to drive down attendance. I'm wondering. I am really. I know TCU's going to have a good fan base because they haven't won one since 1938 or whatever.
It is. I wish it wasn't being played in this crap
Levi
hole state.
Stadium was not full when Alabama and Clemson played.
But
I have a feeling.
I think it's going to be full this time. TCU has never done this. Georgia's trying to make history. I still think it's going to be full, and it's a great stadium. It's a great venue to watch a game. I wish it was in another state, but again, that's just the way it is. I mean,
All right. So Kenny called.
Yeah.
And our producer Bailey.
Yes.
Kenny, what did I'll let you? What did Kenny want to know?
He's just kind of looking for an update since we hadn't talked about him in a while about Eli Gold.
Yeah, Eli Gold's health, the voice of the Crimson Tide, who took this season off, Scott. Chris Stewart, as you heard him on 97.7 The Zone, was the voice of Crimson Tide football this year and is now transitioned to basketball and will transition to baseball. You heard all that here on The Zone. But, from what I understand, things are going well. He's trying. He's definitely improving health-wise. The big deal, Scott, is the mobility issue. For Eli, and so we're all going to continue to monitor it. From what I've heard, he would like to make a return behind the mic, if possible, for the A-Day game in April, which is that's the first one he missed a year ago, when people kind of started figuring out that Eli was having health problems, because he finished the football season itself in the national championship game against Georgia in that rematch, but he wasn't behind the microphone for the A-Day game. That was, of course, Chris Stewart. And then we learned that his health had taken a turn, and Chris was going to take over for this season. So
right.
I know the last report I heard was that things were improving and that he wanted to be back behind the mic. That was kind of a goal for A-Day in April. Now, they haven't even announced those dates or anything like when Alabama's going to do spring football, but we will see. But hopefully Eli could potentially return in April.
$383, the cheapest ticket right now to get you into the College Football National Championship game in there in California. $383.
And the gas probably costs $7.50.
Probably more than that.
Thanks to the idiot in the White House.
If you want a VIP ticket to sit next to all the fine folks in California and hear all the great Californian stories about how great it is, $4,196.
I'll pass. Thanks.
Are you sure?
Even if Alabama was in the SOB, I'm passing, unless my ticket's paid for by somebody else. Thank you very much.
California liberals.
Yeah.
They paid for it.
Idiots.
Here's Bobby White from Woody Anderson Ford on their service department.
President's Award winner 2 years in a row. That's only given to the top 10